Hello, everyone. Thank you for watching. Today, I am interviewing an environmental engineer, Kristen Ridarick. Let's get started. First, who or what inspired you to pursue studies and a career in STEM?
Yeah, so no actual person inspired me to do a career in STEM. I think my experience was a little bit on the practical side of things because when I was in high school, I really didn't know what I wanted to do in college. And I liked my music classes I did in high school, and I thought maybe I'll go into something in music field. I remember was thinking maybe I'll become a museum curator, even though I don't really know much about that field, but I guess I thought it looked cool. So really in high school, I didn't know in the beginning what I wanted to do in college. And at the time when I was in high school, in the middle of high school, was when the financial crisis happened. And also at that time, my parents were getting divorced. So there was so much uncertainty at that time. And after that, when I was getting closer to looking at colleges, I realized what I wanted was to come out of college with a stable career and be able to get a job with my degree. So I remember one day I went to the library and they had some books about different careers, and it was kind of like an index of different majors you could pick. And I remember I was looking at environmental science, and then below it was environmental engineering. And I knew that in engineering, it's a good major to get a job. And I was interested in the environmental aspects of things. So at that point, I kind of thought, okay, I'm going to try to go to school for engineering. And in high school, I did like science and math classes. So in a sense, it kind of made sense that I was drawn towards this engineering major.
That's very interesting. What is an obstacle that you encountered in your STEM field and how did you overcome it?
When I was thinking about this question, I wasn't sure if this question means just because I'm a woman, if I've had obstacles. But if I'm thinking about this question, I can't really think of any specific times where I felt like being a woman in STEM has been an obstacle in itself for me. I worked in public service for my whole career so far. So I think, in a sense, at least in my experience, I've worked for two government agencies. They've been very supportive of women in the STEM careers, and I've had men and women mentors and supervisors who have all been very supportive of me in my career and always trying to push me to try different things. And actually, I think I like my supervisors have really pushed me, men and women, to do different things that I might not necessarily have thought for myself, okay, I'm going to do this. Like when I worked at my first job, I was nominated to be on the team of people who respond to after hours emergencies related to drinking water. And for me, when I first thought, okay, they want me to do this, I thought, wow, this is like a lot of responsibility and pressure. But I ended up giving it a shot, and I was able to learn a lot through that type of experience. So maybe because I'm still young in my career, I haven't had this type of real experience where I felt like being a woman has hindered me from achieving what I want to achieve. But also, I mean, I have noticed sometimes if I do a presentation for work for outside audience, I can notice that there aren't many women in the room. But I think on the other hand, I don't want that to stop me from from trying, because I think the alternative, if I were to let that intimidate me to the point of not giving the presentation or not doing something outside my comfort zone, it's worse than me maybe trying and not doing as great as I wanted to do, but I at least want to push myself to try. But also, another thing I could think of that was maybe an obstacle in my career was when I wanted to get my current job, I actually applied for the job and I had an interview. So I got pretty far in the process and then found out I didn't get it. So that was like really disappointing for me, that I really wanted this job and I didn't get it. But I continued to apply for jobs at where I work now. And I contacted my school and a career advisor there and said, I really want this job at this agency. Do you know anyone? Do you have any advice for me? And this was after I had graduated and was already working for 2 years. And they actually did get me in touch with someone who was able to give me some advice on my application. And in the end, it did work out really well for me, because that year of time where I was still at my old job, I got to do a lot of like really interesting things that I'm glad, like looking back on it, that I didn't get the job at that time, because I was able to do things at my previous job that I hadn't gotten to do yet. So in the end, it worked. So if you don't get it the first time, just keep trying.
That's wonderful advice. Yeah. What strengths have you found being a woman in STEM?
So I think like one thing that I really like about STEM and my career is that I get to do a job that I really love. And I think I'm really fortunate in that sense, that I go to work and I like what I'm doing and I'm challenged. And I think also that there's so many opportunities available. Sometimes I feel like overwhelmed with how many opportunities I think are available for women in STEM. And so a strength also that I feel that I found in this field is that I'm constantly being pushed to try new things and pushed to see like what I'm actually capable of, which I really like about this field, because I'm always learning something different and always seeing, okay, I didn't think I could do this before, but now I tried and I realized, okay, I can do this. So then it gives me the opportunity to keep trying new things.
What advice would you give to young women interested in pursuing STEM?
So I think my biggest advice would be that if you doubt yourself, that maybe you think, I can't do a STEM career, I'm not good enough, I would say that don't let that stop you and at least give it a chance, because you don't know unless you try it. And when I was in high school, I didn't know that I was going to go into a STEM career. So I didn't take any like AP courses in science or math. I did take one AP class, but I didn't really structure my high school studies in a way that I guess would set me up to do an engineering major in college. Because I know my high school, they did have engineering courses and I didn't take any of those. So I don't think you have to have it all figured out in high school, but if at the end, when you're getting closer to deciding what you want to do for your major and you think about engineering, I would say give it a shot, even if you do have some doubts about if you're going to be capable of doing it. Another piece of advice that I have is when you do pick your school, I would take advantage of any like career center they have, because I think that's a really valuable resource available to you. And the things that I learned from my career advisor during that time, I still use today, like how to write your resume, how to practice for interviews, how to network. And I think, if you have that available at your school, do try to use it. And also another thing is, it sounds boring, but if you get multiple acceptances from schools, I would think about too how much student loans you're going to have at the end, because I do think that you can get a good education at any engineering school. And so just consider, like, is it worth it to take out these student loans if another school is maybe offering you a place at a lower cost? And also, I think in any situation, there's opportunities to learn. So don't be discouraged. Like, maybe when you're doing your internship or your first job, you feel like the work you're doing is not the most exciting things at the beginning. I know when I was an intern and starting out, I did some like data entry and checking data, and I still do some of that now in my work, but sometimes it doesn't feel like the most exciting thing. But everyone has to start like somewhere, and I think you still do learn from those type of experiences, and just be open to whatever work you can do, because you can always learn something.
Yeah. Finally, what do you see for the future of STEM, specifically the future of women in STEM?
Well, I hope that in the future there is not this stigma that women maybe don't have a role in the STEM field, because I mean, I would like to think that I was hired for my jobs based on my qualifications, and not because like I'm a minority in a male dominated field. So I hope that this stigma kind of goes away, and people can just be judged off their qualifications. But and I hope that people, like women, don't feel that they're somehow not capable of doing a job in STEM, because that's not true. And I think I'm fortunate that I haven't had this type of experience where I feel like being a woman has hindered me, but I don't doubt that other women have felt like it has been more difficult or challenging for them being a woman and having to work extra to prove themselves. And I think I'm lucky that people before me have tried to break down this barrier, because I haven't had too much negative experiences. So yeah, I just hope that in the future this is not a there's no stigma attached here, and women will just be treated equally in the workplace, and we all work together.
Great. Thank you so much for your time today.
You're welcome.